The resilient Jenkins' youngest daughter, which is baby Minova, is looking very concerningly different in the recent video that they just uploaded, and we have to talk about it. Now, Stephanie uploaded a new video today, and she's holding Minova, and you can see that Minova's eyes are very crossed, and she has never looked like that before. Now, before we jump to conclusions about what we're seeing here, let's just take a look at the side-by-side of baby Minova's eyes a month ago and baby Minova's eyes now. And I'm not trying to come for her baby or nothing. I'm just saying, like, there is clearly a big physical difference, and you can go and look at her video and see it for yourself.
Listen, babes, if you thought you'd seen peak chaos from Stephanie and Drew Jenkins, buckle up, because this part of their saga isn't just messy. It's downright disturbing. And the wildest part? It didn't even come from one of Drew's cheating escapades or Stephanie's marathon late-night live stream rants. No. The internet nearly choked when Stephanie put baby Minova on display in a way nobody was ready for. So, here's the tea. Stephanie pops up on live again, this time in what looks like a bathroom straight out of a low-budget horror movie. Dim lighting, clutter in the background, and her baby in her arms like just another prop in her chaotic content factory. But viewers' eyes didn't stay on Stephanie. They zoomed straight to baby Minova. This sweet little girl, only 7 months old, suddenly didn't look like herself. Her once bright, sparkling gaze was replaced with something off. Her eyes? Crossed. Not once, not briefly, but visibly, enough for strangers across the world to notice. And here's where it got gut-punching. Instead of stopping, instead of gasping, instead of grabbing her keys and rushing that baby to the ER like any panicked mom would, Stephanie looked into the lens, smiled, and carried on like nothing happened. That baby's potential medical emergency was just background decor for another episode of Braziliant, the TikTok soap opera. The comments section lit up like fireworks on the 4th of July. People weren't trolling, they weren't hating, they were practically begging. She wasn't cross-eyed before. What's going on? Please, Stephanie, take her to a doctor. This could be serious. This isn't normal. Don't ignore it.
So in her latest video that Stephanie Jenkins posted, basically everybody is concerned about Momo because her eyes are starting to cross. And we all know that when you have an infant, that's one of the tests that they do. If their eyes start to cross, that may mean that they have something wrong with their brain. And there are actually a lot of people that are nice on her comments because what they're saying, what they're doing is giving her some clarifying information that she may not have asked for. But if you're half a decent mother, you're really going to care if your child is doing things that you may not notice or may look normal to you, but other people point it out, especially if they're certified. So you can kind of see it in this picture here in the Resilient Jenkins screenshot that I always have for context. But she, like, her eyes are looking at her mom, and when they're doing it, like, one crosses over. Again, she should just get that checked out because it could lead to so many things that even if it's not neuro related, it could be just like poor depth perception or something. So definitely take her to the eye doctor, Stephanie Jenkins. I know you watch my videos by your comments and engagements, and sometimes it seems like you are directly addressing what I'm saying, but whatever.
But instead of panic, Stephanie brushed it off. She lumped those heartfelt cries in with the usual hater comments about Drew's wandering ways, as if people pointing out a child's obvious distress were just being petty. And babes, let's not act brand new here. This isn't Stephanie's first time playing doctor on TikTok. She's built a whole narrative around being too real for modern medicine. She's gone on and on about distrusting doctors, ranting about hospitals being corrupt or out to get her family. Instead, she proudly waves her arsenal of essential oils, teas, and vibes like they're life-saving prescriptions. Her toddler? She once claimed he was on the spectrum because of delayed speech, despite never taking him for an actual evaluation. Drew? She straight up diagnosed him as autistic on camera, pointing to his cheating and erratic behavior as if infidelity was suddenly a symptom. This isn't just quirky mom knows best energy. This is a consistent pattern of turning her kids' health into TikTok talking points while skipping over the real, hard, uncomfortable part of actual parenting, doctors, specialists, treatment. And what makes this moment with baby Minova hit so hard is the brutal contrast. Here's this tiny, vulnerable child, clearly showing signs of something serious, and instead of being protected, she's filmed. Turned into content. Reduced to a backdrop while Stephanie basks in the attention of her audience. Remember, Stephanie didn't blow up on TikTok because of polished, wholesome family moments. She went viral by putting dysfunction on display. People tuned in for the cheating scandals, the messy motel drama, the chaotic live streams where she dragged Drew 1 minute and defended him the next. At first, her fans cheered her on as a warrior mom, someone clawing her way through heartbreak, poverty, and betrayal.
But now,
those same viewers are watching in horror as her kids, especially baby Minova, become props in a performance that feels less like resilience and more like exploitation. And babes, let's not forget Drew in all of this. While Stephanie's spinning her natural mama bear narrative, Drew's still out here being Drew, the man whose name is practically synonymous with infidelity at this point. But instead of holding him accountable, Stephanie keeps him in the script, keeps him in the house, and keeps feeding the cycle of dysfunction that their kids are forced to live in. Instead of acknowledging what everyone could see with their own eyes, instead of rushing little Minova to a doctor, Stephanie did what she always does best, stayed silent. A silence that didn't soothe, but screamed louder with each passing day. Drew himself allegedly whispered that Stephanie had self-diagnosed the baby and decided to lean on herbs and home remedies instead of seeking professional care. If that's true, then what we are watching isn't motherhood, it's reckless endangerment. Let's be real. Crossed eyes in a baby aren't just a quirk. They can signal everything from mild chromosomal conditions to serious neurological problems. And yet, the only public stand Stephanie has recorded over and over again is her infamous mantra, "I don't trust hospitals. I believe in herbs." One sentence, on repeat, says everything we need to know about why her baby hasn't seen a doctor. And babes, this is where belief slides into negligence. Sure, a grown woman has the right to treat her own headaches with essential oils if she wants to. But denying a helpless infant professional medical evaluation when the symptoms are screaming for attention? That's not a belief. That's negligence dressed up as pride. Every day she delays, the risk grows higher. Every day she chooses vibes and videos over doctors and scans, the chance for long-term damage compounds. And this isn't just about herbs versus pharmaceuticals or tradition versus modernity. This is about one thing: responsibility versus negligence. A parent's duty is to put their child's health first, not their fear of judgment, not their pride, and definitely not their content calendar. Now, let's put this in context. Because Minova's condition doesn't exist in a vacuum, it's a snapshot of the environment she's being raised in. And that environment? Pure chaos. Stephanie has already admitted that her older children, we're talking kids barely in double digits, are the ones babysitting the infant. She's gone live berating her eldest daughter, dragging her in front of thousands for refusing to play second mom, treating her resistance as disobedience instead of the very natural refusal of a child who shouldn't be carrying adult responsibilities in the first place. And the cracks in this household aren't limited to baby Minova. Followers have spotted troubling signs everywhere. A middle daughter appearing on camera with a bald patch, hidden with quick hairstyles. A toddler wandering unsupervised while Stephanie films. And Shaw, the child who has been mysteriously absent from streams entirely, reportedly because of a court order, leaving viewers to wonder what went down behind the scenes to spark that decision. Against this backdrop, Minova's alarming condition doesn't feel random. It feels like the natural next chapter in a long-running cycle of dysfunction. Because patterns of neglect? They don't stick to one child.
they spread.
They accumulate. They leave trails and scars, in delays, in silent struggles that ripple across years. In Stephanie's house, kids aren't just kids. They're babysitters, background noise, or emotional props for her next live stream breakdown. This isn't a home. It's a stage set where every meltdown, every betrayal, every wound gets folded into the script of her digital soap opera. And then came Exhibit D. As outrage grew louder, Stephanie had the chance to finally clear the air, to calm her worried audience, to show she was putting her baby's needs first. But instead of a heartfelt explanation, she dropped a subscription-only video, hiding her response behind a paywall. And what did subscribers get? Not accountability, not a plan, not reassurance. No, they got Stephanie talking about herself. She announced she'd be focusing more on content, proudly declaring her new body goals and promising she was on a journey of self-improvement. She brushed off the health concerns as trash comments and doubled down on her frustration that people kept urging her to leave Drew and get her life together. To Stephanie, this wasn't about her child's health. It was about her own image, her own goals, her own narrative of ambition. The absence in her words was deafening. No mention of doctors. No mention of stable housing. No mention of actually prioritizing her children. Just views, body image, and self-growth. And babes, that's what confirmed what so many already suspected. Stephanie doesn't pivot when the pressure rises. She doubles down. When accountability comes knocking, she reframes herself as the misunderstood victim, dismissing even legitimate concerns as hate. And TikTok, unfortunately, rewards it. The algorithm doesn't push accountability. It pushes drama, tears, chaos, and self-pity. And Stephanie has learned to perform them all, even when it means turning her children's pain into props. The tide has fully turned, and the whispers of concern have exploded into a storm of disgust. Where people once offered sympathy and donations, they now voice anger, disbelief, and outright condemnation. Stephanie, once nicknamed Wazillion Jenkins, a title meant to symbolize strength, survival, and perseverance, is now painted as careless, exploitative, and dangerously negligent. Every new detail doesn't just tarnish her reputation, it shreds it piece by piece in front of a live audience. And let's be real, the financial fallout is already baked into the mess. Audiences who once sent money under the belief that they were helping a struggling mother now see those lifelines as manipulation disguised as resilience. Brands that might have partnered with her, banking on relatability, now want nothing to do with someone trending for neglect rather than grit. The risk of association is too high. But the most devastating consequence is not financial, it's the impact on her children. None of them chose the spotlight. None of them asked to have their struggles turned into viral talking points. Yet, every fight, every visible wound, every missed medical appointment is now permanently stamped into the internet's memory. These clips will outlive the TikTok trends, resurfacing years later as digital scars. Childhood trauma has been converted into online archives, impossible to erase. Socially, the collapse is just as brutal. Entire communities of TikTok commentators and watchdog creators now pore over her videos frame by frame, dissecting the dysfunction like detectives. What was once fleeting backlash is now cataloged, archived, and magnified. Former supporters have morphed into critics, and family vlog watchdog accounts are using Stephanie as the textbook example of how influencer parenting can cross the thin line into outright exploitation. And looming in the background is something heavier than social outrage: the law. Child Protective Services has already been part of Stephanie's story, but with the visible evidence of neglect, especially in baby Minova's case, a second knock on that motel door feels more like inevitability than possibility. And it won't be a neighbor checking in. It will be investigators with clipboards, files, and the authority to decide whether those kids are safe at all. This isn't just about Stephanie's choices anymore. This is about the machinery of influencer culture itself. A system that rewards the most chaotic, the most dramatic, the most outrageous moments, because outrage brings views, and views bring money. The darker the story, the bigger the audience. And in that cycle, children like Minova aren't protected. They're turned into unwilling characters in their parents' pursuit of clout. It's bigger than one family. It's about a platform that blurs the lines between entertainment and reality so completely that strangers online feel like jurors in a custody trial. Trauma gets monetized. Dysfunction gets normalized. Neglect gets reframed as resilience, until the cost lands squarely on children who can't consent and can't defend themselves. And that's where we'll leave it for now. What do you think? Is this just a mom drowning in her own mess? Or is it something way darker? Drop your verdict in the comments, because trust me, this story is far from over. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next chapter in this wild saga. Until then, stay tuned, stay shady, and I'll catch you in the next one.